Hey, congratulations. You're officially out of the option period, and now we're going to talk about from here to closing. So what's going to happen is a little bit of the communication will slow down. We've been working in the trenches side by side with you for a while, and now the file is going to be in the lender and title company's hands. But just know we're going to keep you up to speed and let you know if we need anything from you. Now's the point in time when the appraisal is going to be ordered. The lender will probably require a credit card from you to go ahead and order that. So long as there was no appraisal guarantee clause in the contract, if the appraisal comes in low, there's one of three things that can happen. The seller will need to lower the price to the appraised amount. The buyer will need to come up with the cash difference, or you meet somewhere in the middle. But usually there's an agreement that comes to agreement. If for some reason terms can't come to agreement, just know that you can technically terminate and receive your earnest money back. If there is a cash transaction, if you're paying with cash, just know that appraisals are optional, 100% optional. You can do it. You don't have much clout if it comes in low. It's just usually for peace of mind. Now is also going to be the time when a survey is ordered. So the seller oftentimes will provide a survey, and if the title and lender determine that that can be used, we will certainly do so. But sometimes a new survey will be ordered, and the lender or title will handle ordering that. Sometimes lender required repairs pop up. And it's oftentimes when the appraiser out at the house, he notices one or two things. It'll make the appraisal condition of that, meaning he'll appraise the home for $600,000, but he needs these 2 or 3 items addressed. Nor the buyer or seller have to agree to pay for it, but one party does have to pay for it, or the transaction could terminate. Just go ahead and expect for closing delays. I say that just because it mentally helps. Don't get locked into everything. Obviously you have to secure certain things, but just mentally know that they do happen. There's a lot of moving pieces here, and sometimes closings do get delayed by a few days. Now's the time also to arrange movers, so those recommendations are in this email. It's also the time to turn on your utilities. If the seller has to be out prior to closing, then you can obviously set up your utilities for that day. If they happen after a leaseback, then just make sure to factor that in and just set them up at the day that you are allowed to take possession of the home. You also need to set up your insurance. Your lender will be asking for that. If there is a leaseback where the seller is staying in the home for an extended period of time, you might need to have a landlord policy cover for that time. As we approach closing, we'll do a final walkthrough. If any repairs were negotiated, I'll make sure to have all those receipts provided. We'll also be able to go and physically see at the house what repairs were made, make sure everything's fine. As we also approach closing, the lender will have conditions. Very rarely is a file just come out and it's clear to close, ready to go. Oftentimes they'll have 2, 3, 4 conditions that they need you to provide answers to get the clear to close. The clear to close is when we actually have all clear, we're ready to go to closing, obviously. And that is when the closing statement can be issued. The lender will share that with you. The title company will also share that with you. It'll show you all your numbers. It'll show you the money that needs to come to closing. And when you do bring your money to closing, it either needs to be in a cashier's check or in a wire. If you do wire your money to the title company, oftentimes our clients will wire it to the title company the day prior to where they know that their money is there the day of closing. And they also make sure to call before wiring to confirm the wiring instructions so that you know that you're sending your wire to the safe place and there's no fraudulent activity going on. Obviously, if something doesn't look right on the closing disclosure, you have any questions, the first person to call would be your lender because that's between you and him. But if you have any questions, our team can also help answer any questions as well. At closing, typically the closing day, the day is in the contract, but the time set, title companies prefer to have everything from the lender before setting a time. So usually that's within 3 days prior to closing is when they would prefer to set the time. But if you're 2 weeks out and you want to set your time, feel free, go ahead. Just know it might change a little bit based upon the lender providing everything to the title company. Buyer and seller do not close at the same time. I do want you to know that you might see the other party as you're coming and going from the title company. So maybe if this transaction's been a little tense, maybe you wait in the car as they walk out. And then other transactions, people want to give hugs and introduce each other and say hi. So it just really depends. You can do a power of attorney for one party of a buyer, meaning if your wife is not able to make the closing, she can sign over a power of attorney where you would sign on her behalf. The title company would need to know about this well in advance because an attorney has to prepare that document and there's a fee for that document. So please be sure to communicate with me or my team or my title company to get that set up. We can also do remote closings. If you're out of state, that's no problem. You just meet with the mobile notary and closing can happen that way as well. If you are contingent, if your loan's contingent upon the sale of your home, you may need to provide that documentation to the lender as well, the closing statement from that in order for it to close and fund. 99% of the time, our buyer's agents will always be at closing. We want to be there for you and answer any questions. There is that 1% time that either a schedule conflict or somebody's sick. The agent or someone from our team would certainly be available, but just know that the title companies also, this is what they do every day. Our work is basically done at this point and you're in good hands. So that's it from option period all the way to closing. If you have any questions whatsoever, obviously you know my information or my teammates' information, please feel free to reach out, call, text, or email, and we look forward to seeing you at the closing table. Thank you.